The night was a canvas of endless black, the stars obscured by a burgeoning storm. In the heart of this tempestuous void, a single point of light gleamed, a beacon in the tumultuous dark. It was not a star, but the gleaming eye of the seraphim, known as Noctura, her form shrouded in an obsidian aura. With each beat of her vast black wings, a cascade of crimson droplets fell, the lifeblood of those she had judged unworthy. Noctura descended upon the mortal realm, her presence an omen of the reckoning to come. The earth beneath her quaked, and the air itself recoiled at her touch. Villages once vibrant now lay silent, their inhabitants hiding from the judgment they knew was at their doorstep. Whispers of her past visitations, where entire towns had been left desolate, their streets running red, permeated the night. She alighted upon the ancient altar at the world's edge, where the veil between life and death was thinnest. Her eyes, reflective as mirrors, showed not her reflection, but the sins of those who dared meet her gaze. Each feather in her wings, darker than the chasms of the abyss, seemed to absorb the light around her, casting an otherworldly shadow across the land. In the sky above, a struggle played out as the celestial bodies fought to pierce the darkness that Noctura brought with her. Yet, not even the moon dared to challenge her supremacy of the night. The seraphim's return had been foretold by the blood-script prophecy, a tome penned in the blood of the first fallen, its verses etched with the inevitability of her ascension and the downfall of the corrupt. Her voice, a sonorous melody, resonated with the power of the ancient ones, calling forth the spirits bound to her will. They emerged from the shadows, ethereal and bound in servitude, their forms blurred between existence and nothingness. Noctura's judgment was not hers alone to dispense. She was the arbiter, the sovereign of the spectral court, and her verdicts were absolute. With the spectral court in assembly, Noctura turned her gaze towards the horizon, where the last remnants of twilight clung desperately against her dominion. The winds carried the scent of fear and blood, a perfume that pleased the seraphim. It spoke of a world teetering on the brink of chaos, a world that begged for the order only she could provide. Her judgment was not mere punishment, but a sacrament to balance the scales weighed heavy by mortal sins. With a gesture she summoned the accused, their forms dragged before her by unseen forces. They were the corrupted, the betrayers of their own kind, and in their eyes flickered the knowledge of their inevitable doom. The condemned pleaded, voices echoing hollowly in the expanse. But mercy was a luxury not afforded by the ancient laws Noctura upheld. She listened, not out of empathy, but as the final courtesy before her verdict was passed. Their words were but whispers against the symphony of judgment that she orchestrated. Her verdicts were swift, delivered with the precision of a blade's edge. To some, she granted oblivion, a release from the burden of existence. To others, a fate far worse, eternal servitude within her court, their blood now an offering to the very altar that judged them. As the night deepened, so did the court's proceedings. Each judgment rendered was a note in the dark melody of retribution, resonating through the realms. The ground itself seemed to drink in the essence of the fallen, the altar glowing with a sinister light, its runes alive with the power of the blood spilled upon its ancient stones. The night waned, yet the power of Noctura seemed only to grow, her dominion unchallenged by the coming dawn. The spectral court had witnessed countless judgments, each a testament to her unyielding resolve. Yet, amidst the solemnity, a stir of unrest whispered through the air, a murmuring of dissent from the shadows themselves. It was then that a figure emerged from the darkness, one not summoned by Noctura, but drawn by the tales of her judgments, cloaked in the guise of mortality, but with eyes that betrayed a knowledge beyond the earthly realm. This stranger challenged the seraphim's authority, offering a different judgment, redemption. The proposal sparked a tumult within the court. Spirits that had known only servitude whispered of hope, a concept long forbidden within the hallowed grounds of judgment. Noctura's gaze upon the stranger was as a blade, sharp and unyielding, yet within her, a war raged between the ancient laws she upheld and the possibility of change. Decision weighed heavy upon her, a burden that bowed even the vast expanse of her wings. The court watched in silence, the air thick with anticipation. In a moment that seemed to stretch across eons, Noctura spoke, her voice resonating with the power of creation itself. She granted the stranger an audience, a concession unheard of in the annals of the court. This act of leniency, however, did not go unnoticed by the forces that lurked beyond the court's gaze. Shadows coalesced at the fringes of perception, eyes gleaming with malevolence, watching, waiting. The balance had been disturbed, and in the darkness, plots were woven like threads in a tapestry of malice. The audience granted to the stranger by Noctura marked a pivotal moment in the annals of the spectral court. Whispers of the event spread like wildfire, reaching even the furthest corners of the realm. The very fabric of their world seemed to quiver in anticipation of the change that loomed on the horizon. Amidst the court, a faction of dissenters began to coalesce, spirits who saw in the stranger's proposal an opportunity to challenge the seraphim's ancient rule. They rallied in the shadows, their murmurs growing into a chorus of defiance. The air was electric with the potential for upheaval, the court divided as it had never been before. Noctura, ever stoic, watched the growing dissent with a gaze that could quell storms. Yet inside her, a tempest raged, one of doubt and contemplation. The principles she had upheld for eons now seemed less absolute, the lines between justice and tyranny blurred by the stranger's words. The stranger, meanwhile, remained a beacon of calm in the eye of the storm. Their mere presence challenged the status quo, their ideas a seed planted in fertile ground, germinating with the promise of revolution. They spoke not only of redemption, but of a new order, one where judgment could coexist with mercy. As the night drew on, the court became a battlefield of ideologies, with Noctura at its center. The seraphim faced not only the external dissent, but an internal struggle that threatened to unravel the very core of her being. And in the darkness, watching from the periphery, malevolent forces plotted, ready to exploit the chaos for their own ends. The dawn neared, a soft light threatening to pierce the veil of darkness that Noctura had woven over the court. It was a sign, some whispered, of the inevitable change that the stranger's words had set into motion. The air was thick with the power of untold magic, the potential for a new era palpable among the spirits and shadows alike. Noctura stood at the heart of the court, the embodiment of ancient laws and unyielding power. Yet, as the first light of dawn caressed her black feathers, a transformation unfolded. The darkness that had been her cloak receded, revealing not the fearsome judge of old, but a being of both shadow and light, her wings now a tapestry of midnight and dawn. The dissenters and loyalists alike watched in awe as Noctura addressed the court for what felt like the final time. Her voice, once a harbinger of doom, now carried a promise of redemption and renewal. She spoke of a court not bound by the rigid lines of judgment and retribution, but one guided by understanding and the chance for atonement. The stranger, no longer an outsider but a catalyst for change, stood beside Noctura, their presence a testament to the power of a single voice to alter the course of destiny. Together they looked upon the court, a united front against the darkness that lurked at the edges of their world, ready to encroach upon the light they sought to foster. As the sun rose, casting its first light upon a realm forever altered, the spectral court dissolved into the morning mist, its spirits freed from the chains of servitude. Noctura, with the stranger at her side, watched as a new day dawned, one where darkness and light coexisted, bound by the promise of a future forged from the shadows of the past.